Welcome back to another CSE Issuer Update clip. I'm your host, James Black, and today I'm joined by Stephen Burega, who is the president of Appia Rare Earths and Uranium Corp. Stephen, thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here.
Wonderful. Now, Stephen, I just have to acknowledge that this company, as a CSE listed entity, is actually celebrating 10 years listed on the exchange in one way or another since, I believe, 2014. That's 10 years ago. So congratulations on the milestone. Now, I know you've been involved with the company for just over a year, but maybe let's start there. What exactly was your entry point with Appia, and what has been the mission that you've crafted for this company since you've joined this issuer?
So I joined the team about a year and a half ago, and Tom Drivas, who's the founder of the company, had asked me to come on board to add some bench strength to the management team. And since then, the company has flourished. I mean, we really have. We've expanded our asset base significantly. I'd love to tell some of the viewers about what we've added in from a project basis in Brazil. We had primarily been focused on Canadian rare earth, hard rock rare earth projects in northern Saskatchewan, as well as early stage exploration, uranium projects in the basin. And then, of course, our flagship project that was first brought into the company 10 years ago was an Elliot Lake project in Elliot Lake, Ontario, which was a uranium and rare earth project. So since then, since the January of last year when I joined the team, we added in an ionic absorption clay project in Brazil. And all projects are moving forward full steam ahead. And we have separate teams both in Brazil and in Canada managing each of these project areas, and it's exciting times for the company.
Absolutely. Now, with the origin of the company being in Canada and now this entry into Brazil, how do you focus your energies? How do you choose which projects to be focused on? And really, how do you manage that challenge? Because I assume that as a junior explorer, you don't have endless resources. You have to make choices. And I'm just curious to get into your thought process about how you're building value on both sides of the equation here.
So we were fortunate enough a few years ago to have a very significant raise at Appia, and we've managed those funds very, very diligently, and we've been focused on the Goiás Lake project in the Canadian context as a priority project, as our flagship project for now for a number of years. That's a hard rock monazite rare earth story. And we have some of the highest grade surface showings and near to 80% monazite with near to 50% trio total rare earth oxide in some of the showings on that property. So we've had numerous programs over the past few years, drill programs, exploration, early stage exploration on new targets, followed up with drill programs on the Goiás Lake project. And then as I mentioned earlier, in January, February of last year, we were approached by our partner in Brazil with an ionic absorption clay project. The difference in prioritizing is, we have to keep in mind costs. We have to keep in mind the fact that budgets are not unlimited. We always have to keep the dollars in mind. And what we've accomplished in Brazil over the initial 9 months is extraordinary. With approximately $1 million USD commitment on the ground, we produced near to 400. We completed near to 400 drill holes across RC and auger drilling. We produced our maiden mineral resource estimate of some 52 million tons across indicated and inferred categories, with an average grade near to 2,700 ppm across both. That's trio. And this was on a project area that encompassed just about 480 hectares, whereas the entire project of the PCH project in Brazil is actually 40,000 hectares. So with a very modest budget of $1 million in the ground, we accomplished a tremendous amount of value creation for our shareholders. So keeping in mind the fact that you can operate near to year-round in Brazil, when we're down-tooled in Canada due to weather and shoulder seasons, we're able to still be full steam ahead in working in Brazil. Now, as far as our projects in Canada are concerned, Goiás Lake still remains a priority for us, as does our uranium project. So we have 4 early stage exploration projects in the basin: Other Side, East Side, Laringer, and North Wollaston. And in the wintertime, we had attempted a drill program at Laringer, but unfortunately the weather worked against us and the winter road didn't open, so we weren't able to complete that program. But we are active on and plan to continue to be active on our uranium projects in the basin, as well as ongoing work for Allseas Lake this summer. And then most recently, your viewers might have noticed that we made an announcement of a MOU, of a Memorandum of Understanding, on our Elliot Lake project. That's a tremendous potential value creation for us. The total value of that MOU stands at $75 million. There's a $25 million cash payment due at the end of October as an initial step, and then with the completion of a bankable feasibility study, and an additional payment of $50 million at the end of the project for 100% ownership, and we would have a NSR, a 2% NSR as well. So non-dilutive, a significant influx of cash for the company, and leveraging the fact that Elliot Lake, when we first brought that into the company 10 years ago, we actually completed about $10 million worth of work, which brought from a historic resource of 199 million pounds of uranium, we brought 55 million pounds of that into a modern day 43101 compliant report. There's also 180 million pounds of rare earths at Elliot Lake. So tremendous value. And quite honestly, we weren't seeing any appreciation for that in our market capitalization. So we are very pleased to be able to leverage these uranium assets at a time when uranium is obviously trading at an all-time high here. It's very exciting. And we are able to find a great potential partner for us to take that project forward towards production. So we manage that balancing act of where to focus all the time.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine it is a balancing act. So let's talk about Brazil just for a moment. Everyone tends to know in the mining world Ontario and Saskatchewan and those key assets that you mentioned, but Brazil might not be as well known by, say, the Canadian investors. So maybe just tell us quickly. You mentioned the weather and the accessibility, but any other pleasant surprises you might have encountered doing business in Brazil that you might not be common knowledge?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Brazil's open for business. The fact that Brazil has the geology and the weather patterns over the last million of millennia in order to develop this ionic absorption clay lithology over top of the granites where we're located outside of Ipora in Goiás State. You need that mixture of weather and mineralization. But you also need to be mineable. And I think the biggest takeaway from my experience over the last year in Brazil is that it is certainly open for business and is completely looking towards developing a critical minerals sector and supportive of that. And I think Appia is extremely well positioned to be a major player within that development of the sector. You've got support from the farming community where we're operating, all the way up through to development of state support, municipal support, state support, federal support, policies that are very beneficial to the development of early stage projects through to production. Lots of talk of the potential for processing in country, beneficiation in country. I mean, it's amazing. Brazil is going to become one of the world leaders in the development of rare earths, processing of rare earths, and sale of rare earths in the world. And given the fact that China has had such a significant control over the processing, the mining, the processing, separation, and eventual production of these permanent magnets, which is really, we're looking at rare earths that go into these permanent magnets. I think Brazil is going to quickly become a world leader and develop this a potential counterpoint to the Chinese control.
Right. So magnets, rare earths, and then what use case for the magnets? Is that something that we're talking about batteries or elsewhere in industry?
So the magnets are, whether you have a power source of a lithium battery or a hydrogen battery, whatever the power source is, that's not our focus. What we're looking for are light and heavy rare earths. That's neodymium and praseodymium, which are light rare earths, and heavy rare earths, which are called dysprosium and terbium. They're a major component into permanent magnets, and those permanent magnets are used in EV motors of all types, turbines, all the way into your cell phone. Most electrical items have small magnets of some kind. And what a permanent magnet means is that it can cycle through hot and cold. It allows for the use of, as a magnet is used, it heats up and it cools down. And that cycling through hot and cold, without these rare earths, it would lose its magnetism. So we're very much focused on very few of four in particular of those rare earths, and there's a very specific use for them in these types of permanent magnets.
Interesting. So again, diversified asset geographically as well within the rare earths and uranium side. Just to steer it into a bit of a different discussion, Stephen, a little bit about yourself as the president of the company. Tell us about what got you into this industry and maybe some of your milestones from your career thus far.
So I've been in the business for 16 or 17 years. I actually came at it from my previous world before that was in government relations communications, and prior to that I started off in finance, and I found that this was a perfect marriage of getting originally into the corporate development side of things, and I really enjoyed the art of negotiating deals and bringing investors to the table, and that eventually got me into senior management roles. And I've traveled the world. I've worked in Cambodia, a significant amount of time spent in Africa, across the continent. I do run two companies. One is Romeo's Gold, and of course, this is the other. Appia Rare Earths and Uranium is the other company that I co-manage. And for me, this business has been an amazing journey. It's had me presenting in front of the United Nations in Geneva, and meeting the local population in far-flung spots in Africa and everywhere in between. So for me, the mining sector, the exploration world has opened tremendous levels of opportunity. And I like to think outside the box, and I've really enjoyed being able to work on projects that have an impact in from my perspective, in the particular case of Appia, we're looking at a green revolution. We're looking at how are we going to power the next generation, and working on projects that are rare earth based and uranium based, I think are the future. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity. And so from my perspective, it's just a bit an extension to our already exciting career in this business. Now, we also have an amazing team at Appia. Of course, Tom Drivas, who's our founder, has been with the company since day one. He's our largest shareholder. And Tom has an amazing knack at identifying project areas and assets around the world, and the likes of which I've never seen with anybody else. And then, of course, we have an advisory board that's made up of three very influential individuals. There's Konstantin Karinopoulos, whose Rolodex is second to none and has been involved in multiple billion-dollar deals in the rare earth world. We have Don Haynes, who is our consulting geologist, specifically brought on board to work with us in Brazil, as he has worked on most ionic absorption clay assets around the world outside of Chinese control. And then lastly, and most importantly, or equally as important, we've been working with Jack Lifton for a number of years. And as many of your viewers will know Jack's name, he is one of the preeminent world experts on rare earths. And we're very fortunate to have these three gentlemen as a brain trust, helping us navigate as we move these projects forward.
That's fantastic. Great experience. And then obviously an amazing team is a key component to any successful company and listing. Maybe just before we head to the end of our discussion here, some milestones or some projects or achievements you're looking forward to this summer that you can share, things you're working towards.
So we'll definitely be talking about the uranium early stage exploration projects. I think Loringer at Eastside in specific, there will be some announcements forthcoming with regards to programmatic programs planned for including Elsie's Lake on the rare earth side. So the Canadian projects are moving forward. And then we haven't stopped as far as our project in Brazil is concerned. Recently, we announced 4 new target areas. As I mentioned previously, the PCH project is a very big property. It's 40,000 hectares, and our mineral resource estimate, our maiden mineral resource estimate, is only based on 480 hectares. So the 4 announced new project areas, or new target areas, account for some 2,400 additional hectares that have that same IAC, or ionic absorption clay mineralization that we're finding over the Ipora granites. So it's more that target 4 material. We're looking at heavy rare earths and primarily, and the lights that come with it as well. So lots of news to come, lots of work ongoing, and we're pretty excited for the summertime months to be upon us.
That's wonderful. So obviously a lot of news coming with all these projects, and obviously all the geography that you have to explore. Stephen, where's the best place for viewers to get more information about the company, to keep up to tabs with you? I think I know where this is going, but I want to let you tell viewers how to keep in touch with Appia.
Of course, we have a revised website. We launched a few months back, and lots of data, lots of as deep a dive as you'd like to. You definitely go to our website. But we also I think we're on the forefront of, we actually have had an app developed for Appia. So you can download the app on your iPhone or on your Android and have all of our news come to you on a real-time basis whenever it's announced. And it also has additional information and some general information on all of our projects. So it's a new touch point. It's a way for us to connect with our shareholders or potential shareholders in the market in general. And it's a neat way of communicating. So we always have we've constantly been putting out a lot of information, and that's going to continue.
Yeah, and I'll vouch for the website and for the app. You go to the website and the app QR code comes up, but you go to the site and the educational materials are fantastic. So if you want more definitions around what rare earths or uranium and the I guess influences behind those particular minerals and assets right now, you should go to the website and read up on that stuff. It's quite informative, and within the context, obviously, what you guys are doing. So with that, Stephen, obviously, I would love to keep in touch and learn more about the company, especially leading up to your October development. I think it's a lot of exciting news coming your way. So until that point, I'll just remind viewers that Appia Rare Earths and Uranium Corp is listed on the CSE under the symbol API. Stephen, I'll let you to it, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Really appreciate the time today, and if any of your viewers would like to reach out, of course, I'm always available. My cell phone's on the bottom of every press release, and my emails are available. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.